so these are the 4-point questions, right? And a lot of you guys did really well with this first part in explaining, right? So 20 is your y-intercept, which is your starting point. And 1.014 is your rate of change. So if you use these keywords, if you said rabbits you start with, right, you got credit. So rabbits you start with, or y-intercept, or anything along the lines of language that said that this is where you start, you got a point for that. 1.014, right? So since this number is greater than 1, that means it's growth, okay? So if you said the words growth, or if you said increase, you got credit for that too. So this was a 2, 1, and 1. 2, wait, was this 2? It's 2 and 2. So this was the first point. This was the second point, okay? Now it says, to the nearest tenth, determine the average rate of change. So just the same thing. It would be the same thing if I wrote it as 50, 100, okay? You have to plug it in and find out what the values are. So I had those up on a Desmos calculator, but I'll get that for you guys shortly. So the function rule is 20 times, what's that? 1.014. Now I got to do it twice, right? So 20 times 1.014. This is my x1, this is my x2. This is to the 50th power. This is to the 100th power. Okay? So let's go ahead and do it. Do. Scientific calculator. So 20 times 1.014. Close that out. I'm going to change this exponent to 50. Okay? Enter. Just double checking. 1.014. Now the next one's to the 100, so I'm just copy and paste this. 100. Okay? So remember that this is my x1, my y1, my x2, my y2. Enter. I have to find the average rate of change. Okay? So determine to the nearest tenth the average rate of change. So I'm just going to continue on my calculator, not even going to write it in. This is my y2, copy, paste, minus y1, copy, paste. Now it's going to be 100 minus 50, okay? So you should have gotten 0.80, whatever, right? So m equals 0.08, was that 04? Yeah. The number continues, right? Determine to the nearest 10. If you wrote this as a continuous decimal, you lost a point. We needed your answer to say m equals 0.08, like so. Okay? So the way that this was broken down, if you got to the final answer, that was a point. If you plugged in, right, if you attempted to plug in, but you plugged in wrong, you still got a point. Okay, but ultimately you had to get a point for getting the right answer. Now, a savings account has an initial value of $50. The account grows at a 2% interest rate, compounded quarterly. And according to the function below, if the savings account is compounded quarterly, what is the value of n? Y'all, we said this. Quarterly means n equals 4. Some of y'all try to do like, I don't know what you were thinking. Some of y'all put 25. That's not it. Some of y'all did, which got me upset. Some of y'all did 12 divided by 3 because you already associated the fact that the year could be broken up. And I'm like, okay, but that equals 4. So why didn't you just write 4? So you messed that up. But when something is compounded quarterly, we told y'all this, n equals 4. So after 10 years, so that means now my time is equal to 10. Morris wants to see the balance in his savings account. Determine and state the value to the nearest hundred. 50 times 1 plus. This was another homework assignment that a lot of y'all try to skate past. And it came back to bite you in the butt. N equals 4. Boom, that goes at the bottom. Here at the exponent, I got 4 times 10, which is 40. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in. I do believe you should have gotten 351. I'm going to continue on this calculator. 50 times 1 plus fraction. Is that 0.02? Yep. Wow. Here we go. Over 4. Now I need this to be a fraction. I mean an exponent. I'm going to change that to 40. Sound all right. Let's try this. Should have gotten 351. Should have gotten 3 something. Okay, this is 61. Hold on, let me check you. So I could be just going crazy, but it could be $61. For some reason, I think it's 350 something, but whatever, right? So if I'm incorrect, I will circle back to this, but let's just take it as is, right? So the calculator keeps giving me 61 and 4 cents. So I'm going to write here 61 and 4 cents. So it says determine and state the value to the nearest hundredth. Boom, that's it right there. So this was 1 point. This process right here was 2 points, right? And then here, after seeing the balance, Morris decides that he wants to add an additional 5,000. All you needed to do was add the answer that you found in B to the 5,000 here. So 5,000 plus 6104, 5,061 and 4. Okay. Again, if this answer is wrong, I'm not going to sit here and try to figure out what's wrong with the calculator. But you should have just taken your answer from here to add it here and gotten an answer for full credit. If f and g are two functions defined by this, then find g of f of x. So basically, we want you to plug this in into this x squared and this x. This is, you're being assessed on your ability to kind of extract and like take it out and put it back in, okay? And we went over this a lot in class. So if you still were not clear, you should have come to office hours, right? So I know that f of x equals 3x plus 5. And g of x is this long string of a function minus 17x plus 4. So I have to plug in for this x and for this x, which is going to give me g of x. Well, I'll start substituting now. G of 3x plus 5 equals 3x plus 5 squared minus 17 times 3x plus 5, and then plus 4. The attention to detail. I gotta FOIL this bad boy over on the side. So I'm gonna do it over here. 3x plus 5 times 3x plus 5. Again, FOIL, y'all. Like, you could not have gone into this test not knowing how to FOIL. And I don't think that that's going to be the case for the rest of the school year. So if you still struggle with foiling, please make sure that you are checking in. Okay? 5 times 5. And it's only going to get harder, right? Because we're going to go to factoring next. 3x times 3x, 9x squared. This is 15x, 15x, and 25. These are like terms, so I get 30x. So I know that this whole thing becomes 9x squared plus 30x is 25. Okay? That's 1 point. So you got 1 point for plugging in. You got the other 2 points for foiling this correctly. That was point number 2. Point number 3, distributing this correctly. And then ultimately, combining your correct like terms and stating the correct answer is what got you the 4th point. So for 28, looking at this data, 47% of you guys got 0 points. 27% of you guys got 4 points. So it was kind of like an all or nothing kind of question. So it's either you knew it or you didn't. For 50% of you guys not to get any credit though, that's very alarming. Okay. So I'm just doing some quick math really quick. I want to make sure I got that. Yep. Okay. So here, right, if I do this, I'm going to do that, adding it in. So just to give myself space, g of 3x plus 5 equals 9x squared plus 30x plus 25 minus negative 17 times 3x is negative 31x. Negative 17 times 5. Let me do that real quick on the side. It's 85. That's negative 85 plus 4. Now, like terms, nothing else is but 9x, but I got 30x and I got negative 51x. I got 25, negative 85, and 4. Okay? So, g of 3x plus 5 equals 9x squared. Now, 30x minus 51x is negative 21x. Okay? Now I have 25 minus 85, which is negative 60. Negative 60 plus 4, just to be short, negative 56. This was the correct answer for that whole thing. And don't think this won't happen to you in the regions, because it most likely will. So if there are parts of this that you do not understand, especially FOIL, you cannot leave quarter 3 not knowing how to do it. Question 29, I'm not going to sit here and review in this corrections video, because this was one of the questions that we kind of threw out there to see like how you guys would do. It's one of the questions that is the reason why there's a curve on the test, because we know it's worth 4 points. But what we were looking for you guys to do was to take this function and plug it into the calculator and just plot the points that you see. Now, if you wrote x is greater than 2 for the domain, you got full credit. If you wrote x equals 2 right here, you got full credit. So for a correct sketch of a graph and these 2 answers, that's how you could get full credit. If you didn't write it explicitly like we wrote, you cannot get full credit. This last one, I want to shout out a couple of folks that got 6 points out of the 90 students that take Algebra 2. Josiah, Eduardo, Efren, Stephen, and Lisbeth, great job, okay? Appreciate the perseverance, but I feel like a lot of you guys could have gotten way more credit than what you tried to do here, okay? So remember that division brings subtraction. These bases are the same. So that means that I can write log base 3 is equal to x plus 1 over x equals to 2. There is nothing else I can do here, so I got to go around the world. So remember, I think I said this in block H, simplify, round the world, solve for x. 3 parts. This is the part that I feel like stump a lot of you guys. You're like, well, it's log here, I can't log over here. And it's like, bruh, if you're lost, go around the world. Go around the world, okay? So I get 3 squared equals x plus 1 over x. I need to get x alone. So this is dividing by an x, so I can just multiply by x on both sides, okay? These cancel. Now this is good, right? So 3 squared is equal to 9. So 9 times x is 9x equals x plus 1. Subtract x on both sides. I bet you're all like, oh, it wasn't even that hard, bruh. It's this part right here, I'm guaranteeing. 9 minus x, this is a 1. 8x equals 1. Divide by 8 on both sides. X equals 1/8. And that wraps up our review video.